Hey there, BookTube, Noah. I thought it might be cool to do a kind of follow up to Dune. Not that anybody needs there's probably so many opinions of Dune out there. I've heard people saying, but I don't really search, and I haven't heard what other people say about Dune because I don't care. you know, if people are going to critically analyze the score or certain aspects of the movie, it's not really my thing to do that. I just watch what I want. I watch very little movies nowadays. It's just reading for me is how I consume stories. So I was very excited about Dune getting a franchise, maybe doing a large portion of this Dune storyline. But I gotta say, on the second watch, there's things that make me think that they're not interested in that. And so I don't think that even looking like this franchise might go all the way to book four, follow Paul Son's story. I don't think that this is going to do that. And if it does it, then it's going to be in a different way than the books do. There's going to be marked differences between the books and the movie. One, because of technology changing from the 60s till now, kind of things like that. But just simply looking at the movie itself, I think that there's tells that say, they're not looking to build this universe the way that it is because they're not going to have to go into all these kind of aspects. It's a lot to get to. That's for sure. One of these things that brings that out though is the fact that in the Dune universe there are no computers and there are no kind of thinking machines, or especially no AI. That's what they're scared of, is AI. So I mentioned this in the first book, or in the first video on the Dune series, saying, well, Thurfer Hiwatt, the Mentat, the one that does the computing, the human being that is specialized for this, he is present in the movie. But they just don't tell the story. Well, I think, they're just not, I mean, they have to tell it. If they're going to go deeper into this story, they have to tell why why the universe runs the way that it does with these specialized human beings instead of a technology that does it, right? One of the main things that is still a disappointment out of the gate on the first movie, just because they made it into an action movie, and it deserves to be. There's a lot of action in Dune, the first book especially, but they made this a real just action movie. So there's some certain things that are there that don't get explained at all. One thing that I touched on my first video, and I wanted to bring it up again because it really hit home on a second watch, is that there's nothing about Jessica becoming a reverend mother. And this leads into the whole thing of spice not being explained at all as well in this first movie. So this is the first part of two. But they're going to have to make up so much ground. And it's not that they left it out. They actually are playing it differently than what you need to know to go forward with a lot more of this story. They might change it up, but then that'll be bad storytelling when you watch this first movie back again. So spice is a staple for the elites. Everybody's taking spice. Everybody has spice in a limited quantity in their diet because it lengthens life and it expands human consciousness. These elites, everybody that we're following in the whole Dune series, they are all taking spice. Paul is not, in the movie, it seems like Paul has not had any spice before in his life. But that's just not the way that it is. When they go to Dune, they know, Jessica and Paul know in the books that they are going to get a high quantity of spice all the time from here on out because they are going to live on Dune where spice is in the air. It's in the air. It's floating everywhere. It is part of the dune landscape. Spices, because it's a byproduct of the sandworms. So they know. But in the movie, they don't know. There's nothing about this. And there's actually a line when Paul is in the tent with Jessica. They've already alone, so I'm not going to give any spoilers, but just to say that Jessica and Paul are alone in a tent in the desert. And Paul shines this light up and says, "There's spice in the tent." And he can see spice particles in the air. And then this triggers in Paul one of his visions. When Paul is getting spice, that's what's triggering these visions of the future. His own visions of the future. Now, they don't work out. We see in the first movie, which is smart in the way that they're playing this for the storyline, that his visions are not predictions of what's going to happen in the future. There is something different going on here. It's cool. It's a possible future or whatever. But he's getting these visions, and he gets visions in the book for sure. But Paul, there's spice all in the air, all around Dune, and in the tent as well, but it's used as a storytelling device right there pointedly. But leads you to, as a watcher, to think that Paul hasn't had, spice like this or whatever. And Paul does and has his whole life, is what it comes down to. There is a voice in Paul's head during these visions. And it is almost the voice of the Reverend Mother, I think, that we meet. But it's not her. And it shouldn't be her. That's for sure. But there's a voice in Paul's head when he's having these visions that's kind of leading him and telling him, do this, do that, and it says it explicitly, and is leading him to his decision making, letting him know that he's seeing his path, kind of stuff. What is that voice? Right? In the movie, what is that voice? In the book, it's not disclosed necessarily. Like, this voice would be his, some kind of higher self, or you'll get to it. I'm not going to do any spoilers or whatever, even for anything coming up, because I don't know how they're going to play it. But it just is weird that this voice they put this narrator in the movie in Paul's head that is a female voice that is leading him. And I'm like, okay, well, I don't know how they're going to play that. But that kind of thing is another aspect of just things that don't add up. And if they're going to do the whole story and do it in a way that's close to the book, then they're going to have to lay this world building down that's not there, and not there at all. And it's obviously by choice. So we'll see how it goes. I'm definitely excited for the second one. The first one was enjoyable again on a second watch. It's a cool movie. It's a action movie, like I said. Might be a bit long for an action movie, that's for sure, but hopefully there's enough stuff in there. And I will say that like 10 people that I know of in my real life are reading the Dune book right now. So no matter what, this movie is a success and good to me, because it is getting people interested in reading the Dune books, and they're amazing. So you can't go wrong. Thank you very much for indulging this one, BookTube, and catch you on the next one. Bye-bye.